Good morning, teachers, students, and authorities present. Below, I will present my final product, which will talk about the feminism and various topics about the contemporary age. Final product. In this final product, we will discuss various topics, such as the French Revolution, the emancipation of the Spanish colonies, the Industrial Revolution, and many other topics of feminism and women and the role throughout the story. French Revolution. First, I will talk about the French Revolution, which began on May 5 of 1789 and ended on December 2 of 1804. It was characterized by a system of absolute monarchy that put an end to absolute feudalism and serfdom, and its main cause because the inequality that existed between societies and the crisis that France was going through at that time. The emancipation of the Spanish colonies. Among its many causes was the frustration of the Creoles who wanted to be part of the colonial government, but were denied for the simple fact of being Creoles. The Industrial Revolution. This revolution took place between 1716 and 1840, and its main characteristics were the development of the textile industry, the substitution of the iron for the steel, and the development of world trade due to the production capacity. The First World War. The First World War was a conflict which began on 1914, which was caused by the assassination of France's Ferdinand, who was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian crown, and who be killed by a young serf named Gabriel Principe. It was given the name of World War because of the participation of the great powers of the time, which formed and divided in two sides. On the one hand, the Triple Alliance formed by the German Empire and Austria-Hungary, and on the other hand, the Triple Entente, which was formed by the United Kingdom, France, and the Russian Empire. But then there will be some change as the change of side of Italy that will change to the Triple Entente, Japan and the United States, and on the other hand, the Ottoman Empire and the Kingdom of Bulgaria joined the Triple Alliance. On July 28, the Austro-Hungarians would start with the attempted invasion of Serbia. Germany invaded Belgium, which had proclaimed itself neutral. After the violation of Belgian sovereignty would lead the United Kingdom to declare war Germany. The war would begin with its announcement in March 1917 with the fall of the Russian government after the signing of the peace agreement between revolutionary Russia and the Central Powers. On November 3 of 1918, the Austro-Hungarian Empire focusing on entire agreement of the a great German offensive in early 1918 along the entire coast, even from the Allies who managed to push back the Germany in a series of offensive and this Germany who requested an alliance on November 17 on 1918, ending this war with the Allied victory. After the end of this war, therefore the severe change as for great empires who case to exist, which as the Germany, Russian, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman after the fall of the German and Russian empires, Ottoman after the fall of the German and Russian empires, they would end be losing most of their territories, while the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires would be dismantled. Russian Revolution. This took place in 1917 and was a political, social, and economic movement that broke out in 1917 and was led with the people. Its main cause were the social class, since there were two social classes, the nobility and the people. There was a monopoly of land because Russia was manipulated by absolutist monarchy and had whole stage, the first stage, was led by socialists. Its main motivation was the food, that there was crisis and the constant effect of the Russian army, and the second stage was led by radical socialists and destroyed the old regime of inequality. The Second World War. This took place between 1938 and 1946 and was one of the fundamental events in contemporary history. In this war, there were two groups: the power of the Axis formed by Italy, Japan, and Germany. Another group called Allies formed by France and England. Its cause was the revenge desire of Germany and among this, its main consequence is the surrender of the Axis, loss of millions of lives, and that gave way to the Cold War and the creation of the UN. The Cold War. This took place between the 1946 and 1991 and was a conflict between the two great superpowers of Western Europe allied with the United States and Eastern Europe with the Soviet Union. The first phase was the most tense, with a war with Korea and the Berlin crisis. The second phase took place between 1966 and 1977, with a Pacific conflict, a Soviet missile crisis in Cuba and the Vietnam War, and the third phase with the dissolution of the socialist bloc and the rise of Gorbachev. The five most important women in Ecuadorian history. Throughout the history of Ecuador, there have been many important women, such as Manuelita Sanz, who was participating in the independence process and defended the love she felt with Simon Bolivar. Manuela de la Santa Cruz, who was the sister of Eugenio Mario, was a nurse who worked with the precursor and was even his defender in front of the courts of the time. Ana de Peralta, who was an Ambateña who led a protest against the provisions of the Spanish to prohibit endangerment of Spanish doing to mestizos. Marieta de Ventimiglia, who was a thinker and great precursor of feminism in Ecuador. In the early 20th century, Mariana de Jesus was the first Ecuadorian saint was charity for the poor and managed reconcile people who were passing and offered her life to stop the epidemics and earthquake as they happened in Quito. The values of women throughout the story. Throughout the story, women have different roles since the first societies where women were in charge of collecting. After the birth of the cities was when women were in charge of taking care of children. In 1978, in the Industrial Revolution was where when more labor was needed, so women began to work with low wage and inhumanity conditions. It was only after the First World War when women began to go to universities and work, but only in specific areas. It was until the 20th century where when the equality was great. The four waves of feminism. This occurred in the middle of the 18th century was was an European cultural and intellectual movement. In the first wave, the privileges of the men were questioned. These served to ask for equal rights, including the right to work and study. In the second wave, which occurred in 1848, many rights were achieved, such as the right to study, work, and own property. In the third wave, measures were in to protect against gender violence, penalties for rape, as well as the right to pay maternity leave. The fourth wave, considered the most current, was born in the second decade of 21st century, making use the digital records and planning to put an end to the gender privileges that historically have been formed. What is the feminist sex? Feminist seeks gender equality and also to eliminate the privilege that have historically belonged for men. My opinion about the feminism is more like a structure that seeks to achieve gender equality and to create and define equality between the different genders. Thanks for the attention.
Hi, I'm Valentina Serrano, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Industrial Revolution and give you my opinion. The Industrial Revolution transformed economies that had been based in agriculture and handicrafts into economies based on large-scale industry, mechanized manufacturing, and the factory system. I think it's important to mention that the Industrial Revolution marked the beginning of a new economic system, which is capitalism. I personally believe that although there were many negative aspects, such as environment pollution, in the long term there were more positive changes. The main positive changes are the decrease in mortality due to better food production and the greater development of medicine. All of this led us to the creation of new technologies and remarkable discoveries that have helped us to advance and evolve as a society. As I said before, there have been a lot of negative aspects. However, we don't know how the world would be without the machines that exist today. There probably wouldn't be enough medicine, food, or clothes for all the people. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm 20 years old, and today I'm going to give my opinion about feminism. So, what is feminism for me? Well, for me, it's all about gender equality. It's about knowing that both women and men deserve the same rights and opportunities. That there's no such thing as a job only made for women or a job only made for men. It's about women knowing that they can be anything they want to be. I think women have been stuck in a place for so many years. Society put us in this concept of a woman has to take care of the home, of the children, of their husbands. But I think we're finally breaking free. There's still a lot of improvement to make, but I think we are going there. The fight is not over yet. We have to keep fighting. There's a lot to improve. There's a lot to change, but I think we're going in the right way. I think women are being more recognized. Our voices are being heard. We are not longer quiet. We are never going to be quiet again, and that's a good thing. Thank you.